The Convergence Protocol, the Emergency Summit, the massive crystal dome of Nexus. Prime's council chamber had never hosted such a desperate gathering. Representatives from 47 different species filled the amphitheater, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of clicks, whistles, and electronic tones that the universal translators struggled to process. Ambassador Kepher of the Arthurian Collective stood at the central podium, his silver carapace reflecting the emergency lighting that bathed the chamber in an ominous red glow. Fellow beings of the Galactic Federation, his voice resonated. Through the chamber's acoustic enhancers, we face extinction. Not from war, not from disease, but from something far worse. The holographic display behind him showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with large sections marked in pulsing black. The Void Devourers have consumed 17 star systems. In the past cycle, billions of lives, entire civilizations, reduced to nothing but empty space. A collective shudder ran through the assembly. The Zephyrian delegates' crystalline form flickered with anxiety, while the Morven representative's tentacles writhed in distress. Even the normally stoic Drakmori shifted uncomfortably in their environmental suits. Dr. Seren Quill, the Federation's chief xenobiologist, approached the podium. Her forearms moved gracefully as she manipulated the holographic controls, zooming in on the affected regions. Our analysis indicates these entities exist partially outside normal spacetime, consume not just matter and energy, but the very fabric of reality itself. Where they feed, nothing can exist again. The chamber erupted in panicked discussions. The Veltharian ambassador stood on his hind legs, his fur bristling with fear. How long do we have? Can they be stopped? At their current rate of expansion, Dr. Quill replied, her voice heavy with doom, they will reach the core worlds within 50 cycles. As for stopping them, ... She paused, exchanging glances with several other scientists in the chamber. We believe we have found a solution. The ancient weapon, the lights dimmed further as classified security protocols activated. Force fields shimmered around the chamber, isolating it from all external communications. Ambassador Kepher returned to the podium, his expression grave. What you are about to hear is known only to the High Council, he began. 3,000 years ago, the precursors faced a similar threat. Before their civilization vanished, they created the Convergence Protocol, a weapon designed to collapse space-time itself and create an impenetrable barrier. The hologram shifted to show ancient ruins on a distant world, covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. The weapon still exists, hidden in the Abyss sector. Our archaeological teams have been studying it for decades. We now understand how to activate it. Captain Elena Vasquez sat in the human delegation section, her dark eyes never leaving the display. At 35, she was young for a diplomatic assignment, but her military record spoke for itself. She had commanded the UES Defiance through 3 major conflicts, earning respect even from species that considered humans primitive newcomers. The Convergence Protocol requires massive energy input, Dr. Quill explained. The calculations show it needs the life force of an entire star system to function. The precursors used their own home system as fuel. Elena's blood ran cold. She activated her personal communicator on a secured frequency. Command, this is Vasquez. Are you monitoring this? The response came from Admiral Chen aboard the human fleet hidden in the nearby asteroid field. Every word, Captain. We're analyzing their data now. The Federation has voted, Ambassador Kepher announced. The Sol system has been selected as the power source for the Convergence Protocol, Humanity's sacrifice will save the galaxy. The human response, the human delegation, sat in stunned silence. Alina felt the weight of billions of lives on her shoulders. Earth, Mars, the outer colonies, all the worlds where humans had built their lives and dreams, would be consumed to power. An alien weapon. "This is madness," whispered Dr. James Park, the human science advisor. "They're asking us to commit species-wide suicide." Alina stood slowly, her uniform crisp despite the tension in the chamber. "Ambassador HFY, when was this vote taken?" "I don't recall the human delegation being consulted." The Althorian's mandibles clicked in what might have been embarrassment. The decision was made by the High Council. Human input was deemed unnecessary, given the nature of the sacrifice required. Unnecessary. Elena's voice carried clearly through the chamber. "You're condemning 4 billion humans to death, and you consider our opinion unnecessary. Your species is still young," the Drakmori representative interjected, his voice like grinding stone. "You cannot understand the greater good. This weapon will save trillions of lives across the galaxy." Alina looked around the chamber, seeing fear and desperation in every alien face. They were terrified, and in their terror, they had decided humanity was expendable. "And what if we refuse? Then the galaxy dies," Ambassador Kethfa said simply, "and humanity dies with it, along with everyone else. At least this way, your species' sacrifice will have meaning." The Discovery 3 days later, Alina stood in the cramped briefing room aboard the UES Defiance. Her senior staff surrounded a holographic display showing the data their infiltration teams had gathered from the precursor ruins. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, her intelligence officer, highlighted several key sections. "Captain, we've made a disturbing discovery," Sarah reported. "The convergence protocol isn't just a weapon. It's a selective barrier. Our analysis shows it will protect specific star systems while leaving others exposed." Alina studied the patterns. "Let me guess. The core worlds of the Federation's founding species are all in the protected zone." "Exactly. And here's the interesting part." Sarah manipulated the display, showing energy flow patterns. "The weapon doesn't actually need an entire star system to function. A single star would provide sufficient power. They're using Sol because it's expendable to them, not because it's necessary." Dr. Park leaned forward, his face pale. "There's more, Captain. Our deep space sensors have detected something the Federation missed. The Void Devourers aren't random. They're following a specific pattern, avoiding certain regions of space." "What kind of pattern?" "They're avoiding areas with high concentrations of artificial quantum signatures, the kind produced by advanced civilizations." Dr. Park's voice dropped to a whisper. "Captain, I think the Void Devourers are artificial. They're someone's weapon." Alina felt pieces clicking together in her mind. "Show me the attack patterns again." She studied the display, her tactical training taking over. "They're not consuming randomly. They're eliminating specific targets." Sarah cross-referenced the destroyed systems with recent Federation expansion. Data. The results were damning. Every system consumed by the Void Devourers had been recently settled by younger species, or contained resources claimed by the Federation's core worlds. Not a single founding species territory had been touched. "They're cleaning house," Alina realized. "Someone is using the Void Devourers to eliminate competition, and the Federation's leaders are using the crisis to get rid of humanity." The preparation activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is the captain. We have a situation." Her image appeared on screens throughout the human fleet, from the massive carriers to the smallest scout vessels. The Federation has decided to sacrifice Earth to power their weapon. They believe we're expendable. The response was immediate. Angry voices filled the communication channels as crew members reacted to the news. Alina let them vent for a moment before continuing. We're not going to let that happen. Intelligence suggests the Void Devourers are artificial, and the Federation's leaders may be complicit. We're going to expose the truth and stop this weapon. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chatter. Captain, what are your orders? We prepare for war, but not the kind they expect. Elena's expression hardened. Dr. Park, how long do we have before they activate the convergence protocol? 2 weeks, Captain. They need time to transport the weapon components to Sol and set up the activation matrix. Then we have 2 weeks to save our species and expose the truth. Sarah, I want full surveillance on all Federation communications. Dr. Park, analyze everything we know about the Void Devourers. Find their weakness. Alina turned to her tactical. Officer, Commander Ross, begin organizing our fleet. We're going to need every ship, every weapon, every advantage we can get. Captain, Ross replied, the Federation fleet outnumbers us 50-1. Even if we fight perfectly, we can't win a direct confrontation. Alina smiled grimly. Then we won't fight directly. We'll do what humans do best. We'll adapt, we'll improvise. And we'll find a way to win that they never saw coming. The deception the next week saw frantic activity throughout human space. Publicly, humanity appeared to be cooperating with the Federation's plan. Human engineers worked alongside alien technicians to prepare the Sol system for the convergence protocol's activation. Transport ships moved supplies and personnel, while military vessels took defensive positions. But beneath the surface, a different plan was taking shape. Alina had divided her forces into 3 groups. The first would maintain the appearance of cooperation while gathering intelligence. The second would prepare for a direct strike against the weapon itself. The third would investigate the true nature of the Void Devourers. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Park's analysis of the precursor ruins had revealed hidden chambers sealed for millennia. Inside, the human exploration team found not just records of the ancient civilization, but evidence of what had really happened to them. Captain Dr. Park's voice was excited as he transmitted from the ruins. The precursors weren't destroyed by the Void Devourers. They created them. The whole thing was a civil war. One faction used the Devourers to eliminate their enemies, then activated the convergence protocol to protect themselves. Alina felt the final pieces falling into place, and the Federation's leaders found this out. They're using the same strategy. Create a threat, offer a solution that eliminates their competition, then rule over what's left. That's not all, Captain. The precursors left a message. They knew someone would eventually discover the truth. They built a failsafe into the weapon. Elena's heart raced. What kind of failsafe? If the convergence protocol is activated by deception, if it's used to harm innocents rather than protect them, it will reverse its polarity. Instead of creating a barrier, it will tear open space-time itself. The weapon will consume its creators. Elena smiled for the first time in days. Dr. Park, you may have just saved the galaxy. All units, prepare for Operation Reversal. We're going to let them activate their weapon, and then we're going to show them what happens when you try to betray humanity. As the human fleet moved into position, Alina stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the stars wheel past. In a few days, the Federation would learn that humanity was far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Not because humans were aggressive, but because they were clever, determined, and absolutely unwilling to lie down and die for anyone else's convenience. The galaxy's final hope was about to shatter, but from its fragments, something new and stronger would emerge, and humanity would be there to guide it. The shattered hope, the activation, the Sol system buzzed with unprecedented activity. Massive Federation vessels formed a protective perimeter around the ancient weapon components that had been transported from the precursor ruins. At the center of it all, floating in the space between Earth and Mars, the Convergence Protocol took shape like a mechanical spider web of impossible geometry. Ambassador Kethva stood in the primary control station, his silver carapace reflecting the eerie blue light emanating from the weapon. Around him, technicians from a dozen species worked frantically at control panels that hummed with barely contained energy. The weapon was nearly ready. "Final systems check," announced Dr. Quill, her forearms dancing across multiple interfaces. Simultaneously, quantum resonance chambers are stable. Temporal flux generators are online. Bioenergy extraction matrix is locked onto the Sol system's primary star. Alina watched from the observation deck of the nearby Federation command ship, her face a mask of calm despite the storm raging inside her. She wore the ceremonial uniform of a sacrificial representative, complete with the silver sash that marked her as humanity's chosen delegate. The Federation had insisted on the pageantry, wanting to honor humanity's noble sacrifice. "Captain," Sarah's voice whispered through Elena's nearly invisible earpiece, "our ships are in position." Admiral Chen reports, "All strike teams are ready." Elena nodded slightly, then spoke aloud for the benefit of the alien observers. "It's an honor to witness the weapon that will save the galaxy. My people are proud to contribute to this historic moment." The Drakmori representative's grinding voice responded, "Your species' contribution will be remembered for eternity, Captain Vasquez. The galaxy will never forget humanity's sacrifice." Alina almost smiled at the unintended accuracy of that statement. Humanity's role in this day would indeed be unforgettable, though not in the way the Federation expected. "Initiating primary ignition sequence," Dr. Quill announced. The weapon's central core began to glow brighter, and space itself seemed to bend around it. "Energy extraction from Sol will begin in 60 seconds. The strike Elena pressed a hidden control on her ceremonial sash. Across the solar system, her signal reached every human vessel, every hidden weapon, every carefully positioned piece of the plan that had been weeks in the making. "All units, this is Phoenix 1, she spoke into her hidden communicator. "Execute Operation Reversal." "Repeat, execute Operation Reversal." The response was immediate and devastating. Human ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels suddenly bristled with weapons and launched themselves at the Federation fleet. Stealth fighters that had been hidden in asteroid fields roared to life, their engines blazing as they streaked toward critical targets. But the most important part of the plan was happening inside the weapon itself. Dr. Park and his team had spent days infiltrating the Convergence protocols, control systems, using their knowledge of precursor technology to plant a virus that would activate the ancient failsafe. "What is the meaning of this?" Ambassador Kethva demanded as alarms began sounding throughout the command station. "Captain Vasquez, your ships are attacking our defensive fleet." Alina dropped her ceremonial mask, her voice hard as steel. "We're preventing a genocide, Ambassador." Did you really think we'd stand by and watch you murder 4 billion humans? The Federation command staff scrambled to respond to the human attack, but Elena's forces had planned for this moment. They struck with surgical precision, targeting communication arrays, weapon systems, and shield generators. The Federation fleet, caught completely off guard, found itself crippled before it could mount an effective defense. Impossible, the Drakmori representative growled. Your primitive vessels cannot match our technology. You're right, Elena replied, watching as human fighters danced between the alien capital ships like wolves among sheep. Our ships are primitive, but our tactics are not. While you've been playing political games, we've been studying how to fight and win. The Revelation Dr. Park's voice crackled through the communication system. Captain, I'm inside the weapons core. The failsafe is responding to our activation codes. The precursor's message is becoming visible. Throughout the command station, holographic displays flickered and changed. The technical readouts were replaced by images of the ancient precursor civilization, and a voice that had been silent for 3 millennia began to speak. If you hear this message, the precursor's words echoed through the chamber, then our weapon has been perverted from its true purpose. The convergence protocol was never meant to protect through sacrifice. It was meant to unite different species in common cause against a manufactured threat. The assembled Federation leaders watched in horror as the truth unfolded. The hologram showed precursor records of their own civil war, the creation of the Void Devourers, and the conspiracy that had torn their civilization apart. The were created by those who sought to rule through fear. The ancient voice continued. They were never meant to be unstoppable. They were meant to be controlled, to eliminate opposition and justify authoritarian rule. But they escaped their creator's control and consumed everything, including those who made them. Ambassador Kethva Est. Mandibles clicked in distress. This is impossible. The Void Devourers are a natural phenomenon. Our scientists confirmed it. Your scientists were wrong, Elena said, stepping forward. Or they were lying. Our analysis shows the Devourers are artificial constructs, and they're being controlled by someone within the Federation. Dr. Quill's forearms trembled as she accessed her own data files, the quantum signatures. I dismissed the artificial readings as sensor ghosts. But if the captain is correct, I am correct, Elena stated firmly. The question is, who's controlling them? Who in the Federation has the power to create and deploy such weapons? The truth emerges. The answer came from an unexpected source. As the human virus spread through the weapons systems, it unlocked not just the precursor failsafe, but also hidden files that had been stored in the weapons memory banks. Files that showed decades of secret communications between the Federation's High Council and a shadowy organization known as the Eternal Directive. By the void, whispered the Zephyrian delegate, his crystalline form flickering with shock. The High Council has been orchestrating this entire crisis. They've been using the Devourers to eliminate younger species and consolidate power. The communications logs painted a picture of calculated genocide. The Eternal Directive, composed of the galaxy's oldest and most powerful species, had discovered the precursor ruins decades ago. They had learned not just how to build the convergence protocol, but how to create and control the Void Devourers. They've been using them as a weapon, Elena realized. Every species that got too powerful, every world that held too many resources, every civilization that might challenge their authority, the Devourers were sent to eliminate them. Ambassador Kethva's voice was hollow with despair. Then the barrier we're creating won't protect the galaxy. It will trap the surviving species under the directive's control. Exactly, Alina confirmed. You were going to sacrifice humanity to power a weapon that would enslave everyone else. The directive would rule over the protected systems while the rest of the galaxy burned. The revelation shattered the Federation's unity. Representatives who had been allies moments before now looked at each other with suspicion and fear. How many of them had been part of the conspiracy? How many had been deceived? The weapon's response, but the most dramatic response, came from the Convergence Protocol itself. As the truth spread through its systems, the ancient failsafe activated with a vengeance. The weapon's geometry began to shift, its careful alignment breaking down as quantum fields reversed their polarity. The weapon is collapsing, Dr. Park reported, his voice tight with concentration. The failsafe is working, but it's creating a massive space-time distortion. If we don't contain it, it could tear a hole in reality itself. Alina felt the weight of decision. She could let the weapon tear itself apart, destroying the Federation's tool of oppression, but potentially causing damage that would last for millennia. Or she could try to control the collapse, using humanity's knowledge of precursor technology to turn the weapon into something else entirely. Dr. Park, can you redirect the weapon's energy? Instead of tearing space-time, can we make it do something constructive? I think so, Captain. If we can stabilize the quantum matrix and redirect the energy flow, we might be able to create a communication network instead of a barrier. Something that would connect every system in the galaxy instantaneously. Alina made her choice. Do it. Sarah, signal Admiral Chen. Have our ships form a protective perimeter around the weapon. We're going to rebuild it from the inside out. The new alliance, what followed, was the most complex military and technical operation in galactic history. Human ships formed a defensive shell around the collapsing weapon, while Dr. Park and his team worked frantically to reshape its quantum structure. Meanwhile, Alina found herself in the unlikely position of coordinating with Federation species, who had been her enemies minutes before. Captain, the Zephyrian delegate, approached her, his crystalline form pulsing with nervous energy. My people have scientists who understand quantum mechanics. We want to help. Why? Alina asked bluntly. An hour ago, you were ready to watch us die. Because we were deceived, the alien replied. The eternal directive lied to us, just as they lied to you. If we don't stop them, they'll use the Devourers to eliminate my people next. One by one, the Federation species began to turn against their former leaders. The Drakmori offered their military forces to help defend the weapon. The Althorians provided their advanced computing systems to help with the reconstruction. Even the Morven, traditionally neutral in all conflicts, pledged their support. But the greatest contribution came from an unexpected source. As the weapons systems stabilized, they detected an incoming transmission from the edge of the galaxy. A transmission from the precursors themselves. This is Keeper Vorth of the Precursor Archive, the voice announced. We have been monitoring your actions. From our exile in the void between galaxies, you have proven yourselves worthy of our knowledge. Elena's heart raced. The precursors survived. A few of us, yes. We fled when our civilization fell, carrying with us the knowledge of how to truly stop the Devourers. The weapon you are rebuilding can do more than create communication networks. It can sever the quantum links that allow the Devourers to exist. The final victory, the battle for the soul of the galaxy, was won not with weapons, but with knowledge and cooperation. Human engineering combined with alien science, guided by ancient precursor wisdom, transformed the Convergence Protocol from a weapon of destruction into a tool of liberation. When the modified weapon activated, it sent quantum pulses throughout the galaxy, seeking out the hidden control systems that directed the void divide. One by one, the artificial entities froze in space, their connection to their controllers severed forever. The eternal directives, members, exposed and powerless, were arrested by their own people. The secret bases where they had hidden the devourer. Control systems were raided and destroyed. The galaxy's puppet masters found themselves facing justice for the first time in centuries. Alina stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as the last of the devourers went dormant. Around her, the solar system buzzed with activity as Federation and human ships worked together to dismantle the weapon that had nearly destroyed them all. "Captain," Admiral Chen's voice carried a note of amazement. "We're receiving surrender. Requests from 12 star systems. The directive's local governors are abandoning their posts, and the populations are demanding new leadership." Alina nodded, unsurprised. "The galaxy is about to change, Admiral. The question is, what are we going to do about it?" The answer came not from Alina, but from the assembled alien representatives who had gathered aboard the Defiance. They had come to witness humanity's expected destruction, but instead they had seen something far more impressive. Humanity's refusal to accept defeat, their ability to find solutions where others saw only problems, and their willingness to work with former enemies for the greater good. Captain Vasquez, Ambassador Cuthbert, spoke for the group. "We formally request that humanity take leadership of the Galactic Federation. Your species has proven that they possess the wisdom and strength needed to guide us into a new era." Alina looked at her fellow humans, then at the alien representatives, and finally at the stars themselves. The galaxy's final hope had indeed shattered, but from its fragments, something better had emerged. Not a weapon of oppression, but a network of cooperation. Not a tool of the few, but a bridge between all species. "We accept," she said simply, "but not as rulers, as partners. The galaxy has seen enough of domination. It's time for something new." And in the depths of space, where the void devourers had once prowled, new signals began to flow. Messages of hope, of cooperation, of a future where all species could grow and thrive together. The galaxy's final hope had not been destroyed. It had been transformed into something far more powerful, a new beginning. Humanity had not just survived the test, they had redefined what it meant to be strong, to be wise, and to be worthy of the stars themselves. The galaxy would indeed remember humanity's sacrifice, but it would be remembered as the day when giving up was transformed into never giving up, when destruction became creation, and when the end became a beginning. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if approving of what had been accomplished, and in the depths of space, ancient voices whispered their approval. The galaxy was safe, not because of a weapon, but because of the courage to choose hope over fear, cooperation over domination, and the future over the past. The galaxy's final hope had shattered, but from its fragments, an infinite number of new hopes had been born, and humanity would be there to nurture them all. Asterisk.